welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to hop on here and just let you know how much I appreciate that you have liked and subscribed to the channel. This week I have a couple of special treats. I have done a couple of interviews with some local photographers in my city that are full-time. One of them has been full-time for quite a while. The other one had just started on her journey about 6 months ago. But I figured that seeing that our industry, we tend to be lone wolves. We don't really make friends at the office or anything like that, that it's good to build community, reach out to people, and that's exactly what I've done. And so I would just love to share some of the business tips that we had chatted about, like how to start your business, things that we wish we learned when we were first starting, because this might help you. And yeah, so I just figured I would hop on here and let you know what the next couple of weeks are gonna be about. But anyways, if you like what you see on here, I mostly do a lot of vlog style. Yeah, I kind of like the imperfect vlogging style when it comes to YouTube. Everything's so perfect in the photography world. This part is just more candid and makes me feel like myself. But if you like what you see here, you can feel free to like and subscribe in the links below, and follow me along on Instagram just to help build the photo community. And we'll see you on the other side. To my channel. Today I have a very special guest, Gabrielle Touchette.
Ooh,
Yes, I've been practicing. So yeah, we're welcoming Gabrielle today, who does photography full-time, and I have a couple of questions I had wanted to ask you. So who are you and what do you do?
Well, I'm a full-time photographer here in Winnipeg. I started my business in 2008, went full-time at the end of 2010, and since then I did a lot of weddings and family stuff in the beginning. Now I'm still doing lots of family stuff, and I'm going more into commercial photography. A few less weddings. I'm just taking less every year. I still enjoy doing them. I'm just not filling my schedule with them, and yeah, just really enjoying all of
that stuff. So, okay, my second question, you answered that one. How long have you been a photographer, and when did you get started? I guess the year. But do you remember what the journey was like to being a full-time photographer?
Yeah, well, in the beginning, when I had a day job and I hadn't really considered photography as a career, I was just kind of doing it for fun. But I was starting to get hired by people, and I was starting to shoot, and I was invoicing them, and I had no idea how to invoice them. So that's when I decided to go to photography school to learn properly how to shoot, how to run a business. And then, yeah, and at first it's hard. You have to build your client base, and you're not working full time. But as you're shooting more people hear about you, more people give you referrals, and then it kind of grows to that. And yeah, and my journey actually kind of kick-started when I had my first child. So I was teaching photography during the day and doing shoots in the evenings and weekends, and but I didn't have kids at home, so I was able to kind of just be at school during the day teaching. And then when we started the family, I sort of thought, well, I need a more flexible schedule.
Photography can be flexible.
It can totally be flexible, yeah. And you can work around it. And so then I decided, okay, well, if I'm going to start a family, I have to be more serious about my business. So I have to make sure that it is self-sustaining, and I can do this full time, and that I can let go of my day job.
For sure.
So yeah.
Do you remember that first gig? Like official invoice? Do you remember like?
It was so like gradual.
Yeah.
That, but I do remember my first wedding, and it was just a few months after I got my first DSLR, and like.
Was that before photography school?
Oh yeah,
or after?
It was before, and it was indoors. It was in March. It was inside of a gym, I believe.
Oh, and so that's fluorescent lighting. You gotta.
I had a pop-up flash on. Like it was just, I did my best, but those pictures.
We're all in black and white, right?
Yeah, they don't exist anymore. Actually, it would be probably funny to go back. And
Yeah, I
and
have
then-
my very first wedding photos.
Do you?
It was scary. Yeah.
You should almost like pull them out.
Do you know
to,
what?
like-
We definitely should, because everybody starts somewhere, and my first wedding gig was actually like right after photography school. Funny little thing. So I had also, just got the DSLR. I didn't charge a lot, but I did kind of have some experience with making a timeline and all that. I had an off-camera flash, but some of the things that I didn't really think about was kind of really letting the bride know, like, hey, as for like indoor locations, it's good to choose like somewhere
In
that we
case
can
of
go
rain.
to. Yeah, because we had to kind of like find whatever was open, and we ended up getting a spot that was extremely dark, didn't have a lot of light. It's very beautiful, very popular, the legislative building.
Oh, yeah.
But like, when you go into like the first floor under that dome thing, it's like so dark. And so if they were wanting to do a first look in there, so they wanted to start very far away from each other. And me and my second photographer were like, oh good God, red eye everywhere. It was bad.
Oh, yeah, and that's the thing. Everything is a lot more challenging when you don't have the experience, you know. What
Yeah.
I'm doing,
Is there anything that you have learned between then and now?
Oh. Yes, that's a gigantic
It
question.
is, yeah.
I don't know. You'll have to have to be more specific.
Okay. I guess, what did you, from the very first wedding, let's just say, that you did without, having experience, what did you learn after going to school and after kind of having some weddings as a professional photographer under your belt?
Well, I think going to school, first of all, just taught me all the technical aspects, so I knew what a correct photo was, like technically correct. So that also gave me a lot of confidence to sort of jump into it and know that, okay, I can charge this amount and I know what my results will be, because I know what I'm doing now. I'm not just like guessing and hoping that it works. So that kind of changed things a little bit. And I think that just the more you shoot, the more you develop your style and some things that you like doing and that look good. So experience goes a long way. Like there's one, to be technically, to know how to take a correct photo, but also to have the experience to know, like, okay, that corner is going to look good if I shoot it this way. So I'm going to actually pull them out of what they think looks good. Yeah. And I'll be like, I'm going to, so you're kind of taking your risk when you know what the results are going to be.
Exactly, yeah.
You can kind of be
more confident. Yeah. And I like what you had said too about kind of having to know the basics. I think that in today's day and age, when like the digital cameras have become so good that like they can almost like, anybody can really pick up a camera and take photo. Well, that's the thing. That's the argument. People say that anyone can take a photo, and they just have like a lot of experience. But I think that it is important to know, like, why would you shoot in RAW over JPEG, and where should that histogram kind of be, and kind of knowing what the darks mean, what the highlights mean, and how that retains information.
Yeah. And I think that when you don't have that, where that starts showing up, or where that becomes a problem, the lack of experience shows up in difficult situations. And on a wedding day, there's probably
lots of difficult situations.
You sort of show up, and how do you successfully get through a difficult situation? And that's when you rely on the technical aspects that you've learned and the experience that and it also changes how you shoot, like knowing and I do teach some photography in some workshops.
Which she's amazing about teaching, like with her teaching. And I love how you teach too, because you do it in a way that's like easy to understand, but it's also really great for people who are like wanting to know the technical stuff. For me, I feel like I don't have that gifting to teach.
And I love teaching, and that's how I started, right? Like before I went full time, I was teaching photography at Prairie School of Photography at the time, and I love teaching. But when I do teach photographers, I've noticed that a lot of them are sort of technically, they're using the wrong settings, or they're not understanding sort of lighting and how to fix it. And as soon as I sort of show them what to do, it sort of opens up so many possibilities to be able to accomplish or to capture certain photos that they wouldn't have otherwise.
For sure.
So yes, the technical aspect is a huge thing, but that's only one part of it. But it is a huge thing. It's very important.
Do you remember feeling scared transitioning to being a full-time photographer?
100%. And I think that no good business decision comes without a bit of fear.
And risks.
Yeah, risks. But I think that good business decisions always come with a lot of thoughtfulness and thinking through stuff and calculating things. And then there's always an element of risk because you could fail, it could not work. And everything that you've invested emotionally, financially, with your time, could all be, taken away. So,
and it is an investment, like going into this career. Like, I mean, it's funny because I have a lot of friends that are in university and they're taking specific courses. But when you think about going to photography for 1 year, you have you're spending almost $20,000 in just 1 year. So
and also I quit my job to go to photography school, so
and you're losing all the income.
Loss of income for it.
Yeah,
it was a huge sort of investment, and also going full time is quitting your day job, all that. It's a big step, but
there's a but. I love
the best. I sort of feel like the best decision I could have made, and I'm so happy that I did it.
Yeah. Okay. Was there a time that you undervalued your work and felt nervous to start charging more?
So, and this goes back to my transitioning from being part-time to full-time. So there's a few things that I had to do to get to be full-time, and one of it was I was just not charging enough. So because it was a part-time job for me, I didn't have to charge full price or whatever the correct price, because it was just sort of like add-on income.
Yeah.
But then quitting my day job, and at the same time my husband went to school full-time university, he quit his day job too.
Yeah.
We're starting a family. It was like, this has to make sense, this has to work. So that's when I had some mentors in my life at the time. They're still friends of mine now, and still go to them for advice too. You're never at the point where you don't need a mentor anymore.
Yeah, I love how you say that, because it's so true. I have some mentors that are business people, and I do have a friend of mine who's also was a photographer for many years, and I love that.
You need these people in your lives, and they were the ones that told me, like, you're not charging enough, and so it was scary, but I essentially doubled my prices overnight in order to go full time. Yeah, so I was all in. I'm like, either everyone's gonna run away scared, or this might work, and it worked.
So I guess there's like a follow-up question to that. So I like how you had mentioned that when you had been doing photography part-time, you didn't really think about what you're charging because it's just extra income. And I feel for me, I was also in the same boat. For years, I was charging like $150 for a mini session, but I was giving like 150 to 200 photos, and I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Right?
Yeah, and it's not sustainable. I tell people, like, if you're not charging enough, you're actually going to kill your business. Like, and then people won't be able to hire you.
Yeah.
Like, you're not doing a service to your clients or to yourself, your family, to the industry.
Exactly. And I think one of the things that I got kind of nervous was, I was looking at a bunch of other photographers who were also doing the same thing, like charging $150 and giving everything away. And I was like, I was kind of scared to, I was like, well, how do everybody else?
With that, right?
Yeah, like everybody else is charging this. Are people going to start paying a premium price? Like, that was something that was really scary. So I was going to ask you, like, how did you figure out what you should be pricing? Because I think that it should always be an equal exchange. You don't want to feel like you're the one losing out all the time when you go and do photos for business. You want to feel happy and excited to go back, edit those photos, and you're proud to give these images back. And you know that the bacon you brought home it's equivalent to the work that went into it. And then that client is receiving a gallery saying, like, oh my gosh, like, this, like, Gabrielle is amazing. And like,
well, how to price? First of all, don't look at what other people are doing or don't go ask. And if you do ask, everyone's going to give you different numbers too. So that's not even a good place to start. How I did it was sort of figuring out my capacity for the year. Like how much can I shoot? How long does everything take? And you have to think about, like, the shoot is 1 hour, but there's driving time, like there's everything. There's email correspondence, there's talking on the phone, there's
that 1 hour shoot behind the scenes is more like a 5 hour.
Oh, more than that.
5 hours, just the communication. I mean, just the communication, and plus all your editing. So by the time,
and also you have to think about, even though when I'm blogging or I'm sharing on Instagram, that's not really necessarily related to a specific client, but like that time has to be paid for, so I have to tack on, 10 minutes per client for sharing their gallery for my own promotional purposes, because I have to promote to get the next clients. And
exactly.
So basically I just figured out what my capacity is, how long everything takes, what I want to be making as an annual income, factoring in all my costs to run my business. And then in there you sort of figure out, okay, at minimum I have to charge this, and then next is like, can the market support this, and sometimes you don't know until you try. Figuring out what type of photographer you are, what type of clients you're attracting, and at a certain point too, your work has to stand out. You need to be consistently good.
Yeah.
You need to not be making mistakes. You need to be people need to be able to rely and count on you if you're going to be charging these premium prices too.
Oh, for sure.
And even when you're not charging premium prices, like, I think we need to honor the craft and the art of it. And not be making mistakes, and that's where it's working for your clients, it's working for you, because you're creating things that work and make sense, that are consistent, and you charge for what the worth of the thing is.
Or that equal exchange for what it is for you, because for an example, being a wedding photographer, you're including an engagement session, that's more the worth with your wedding prices, which often happen to be on a Saturday or a Friday, which could be potential another day for a wedding that you have. And then you have the wedding day, and a lot of times people are with regular jobs are working Monday through Fridays, and Saturdays, Sundays are usually family days. So sometimes that's one thing to think about too, like how much time am I being taken away to go and do this job, where you have to kind of think about, it's important to be with my spouse or kids or
totally, and that's part of it. It's putting value to what you're doing and the cost that for you to be there, not just financially, but also what are you giving up?
The equal exchange.
Totally. Exactly.
Okay, so do you have any advice for any new and upcoming photographers, or even seasoned photographers who are wanting to kind of take that risk to being a full-time photographer?
I would say make sure that technically you're on the ball. If you need to upgrade some of your learning or your education or whatever, like, make sure that you know that you're providing a professional service and a professional product. Second is everything that I mentioned, like, just figure out what you want to be making, calculate all of that, figure that out, and third of all, like, drop some new pricing and make sure that it's sustainable, and stick it out for a little bit. Like, not everyone, sometimes it doesn't like happen overnight. Sometimes it's a gradual process, but as long as you're not going to debt or anything, but you're it's slowly growing, stick it out and see where it goes. And third of all, just like be true to yourself. Like, don't sort of try to compare yourselves to others. I know it's hard to do, but remember why you're doing this. Remember your passion and your love for it. And I think that when that's at the root of why you're doing this, everything else becomes a joy when you're doing it, or it becomes less of a burden or less of a chore. There's nothing worse than like hating your job and doing it for the wrong reasons and getting frustrated, because that's going to come out in your product and your services. And I think those three things are really
what drives everything. Okay, well, that's all for today's little interview. I guess what I would love to do as well is show some of your beautiful photos for the guests. So we'll play that like on a slideshow or maybe even throughout like the video. So that would be great. How can we follow you? Please tell us how we can follow you. And if you know some of you are watching and you're from the area, or even if you're not from the area, because I think you're starting to do some online courses as well, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm on Instagram most actively at Gabrielle Touchette photo. I'll have to
Put a link in the description below so you can follow her. Yeah.
And I also teach iPhone photography or mobile phone photography,
Which is amazing. Oh, people argue like, what is the best camera that you have? It's the one you have
on you.
Or the one on you, the one on hand.
So that account on Instagram is To Draw Light. So 100% of the photos on that account are taken with my iPhone, edited in Lightroom Mobile, and and I'm super passionate about it because it gets down to like the heart of photography, which is less about the gear, but more about the creativity.
You're gonna want to check out Gabrielle, so yes, link in the description will be below.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Yay!
Yeah. I'm always happy to be here at our studios.
Well, we love having you.
Thanks.
Bye.